Guys, Joe here with JoeMartinMVC, and how would you like to make your own key light with a dimmer switch for when you're streaming? Stay tuned and let's go through the build. For this project, we're going to need just a few things. We need 2 pieces of foam board, a ruler, a pencil or something to mark with, your LED lights, a hot glue gun, and probably more hot glue sticks, some black paint, paintbrush for the paint, and a razor blade. Let's get to it. So to start off, we need to mark out the key light, which is 10 by 14. So go ahead, set this to 10 inches. Slide it because the tripod is in the way. 14. 1. Because the Elgato Key Light is actually kind of an oval. Since the Elgato Key Light is a rectangular oval, we're going to use our paint bottle to mark round edges for our own light. Section. Actually, really hard for me to see. It should probably be easier with an X-Acto knife, but well, this is the knife I picked up, so I'd cut this out. So to do this again, I would definitely use an X-Acto knife. Now we want to mark where our LEDs will go. Since we have 5 meters or 15 feet of LEDs, and we're working with a 10 by 14 inch panel, we're going to mark lines for every inch. The reason we're using foam board is because it's cheap and readily available, only $1 to $2 depending on where you get it, and the glossy white surface makes for an excellent reflector without needing to use foil or paint on the inside. So next up is we're going to take our LEDs, take them out of their packaging, set all that to the side. So the way these LEDs work is they have an adhesive backing and your plug. And I'm actually going to remove that because it will be an issue later. I don't care about that a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in the very middle, work our way up, around, and just go in an S pattern, and it should take up this whole area and give us fairly even light. Down here at the very bottom, it's going to have a little bit of a cover, so it shouldn't matter. What we'll end up doing is cutting a small hole to put this through. We're actually going to do that now before we actually put our LEDs in. To make the small hole, you can use any number of items. I started by punching a hole with my screwdriver and then use my paintbrush to widen the hole enough to get the plug end through. Once the plug end is through, go ahead and peel off the adhesive backing from the light strips, being careful not to touch the adhesive or letting it touch anything you don't want it stuck to. These LEDs are very flexible, so we will be able to bend them over to have them flat at the end. Since this process takes a bit of time, now would be a good time to go over a few things. I got the idea for this project from watching Harris Heller at Alpha Gaming when he linked to Gale Level's video for it. I'll link both Gale's video and Alpha Gaming's video in the description below. I like the idea of using the foam board instead of cardboard due to it being a bit more rigid and the white inside surface already being highly reflective, so you don't need anything additional to reflect the light. Yes, you could add aluminum foil to the backside and that would do a better job, but it's really not necessary. The main thing I don't like from Gale's version of the light was that he didn't really make the LEDs even, and that bothered me a bit. With the 1-inch spacing for our rows, we have enough LEDs to actually go all the way around the border as well, which gives us as even lighting as possible with this configuration. There are more things we could do with this project to get more out of it, but this is a very simple and basic build that anyone can do for around $20. If you'd like to see some other things we could do with this, such as making it controllable via Alexa or other smart applications, let me know in the comment section down below and I can do a video about adapting it. Also, if you like the content I'm putting out, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with new content as it comes out. One thing this video doesn't really cover is mounting the light really, as that would depend on your situation and what you'd like to do. With these lights being extremely light, you could simply use double-sided tape to stick them to the top of your monitor if you wanted. You could take the approach that you'll see me use of gluing a few pieces of foam board together to create a mount for a phone holder to attach it to and then attach it to a tripod. You could glue it to a piece of PVC you have attached to your desk or pin it to a wall even. There are numerous options and it'll just depend on your setup and your space. Alright, so this is pretty much guaranteed to blind the camera, but we plug it in, and this has a dimmer switch built in. You can't see it because it's off the camera, but we slowly turn it on. It'll light up. They get very bright. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn off the overhead light, so everything's going to get really dark. Actually, alright, so both lights are off. Dimmer switch. So that's on initially. Oh yeah, that blows up. Oh my god, that's bright. Alright, so far, I'd say this is a success. Let's move on to the next part. Next up is creating strips to go around the side of the light so we can attach a cover to it. We're making 1-inch strips to go around the whole frame, and we will need 3 of them to go all the way around. I've switched from the utility knife to the X-Acto knife because it's much better for this, and should probably have been used from the beginning anyway. So for this part, what we're going to do is take these pieces, these strips that we cut, and we're actually going to bend them around this whole frame that we have. It's up to you if you want to do the inside or outside. Looking at it here, it looks like if I do inside, I'm going to be on the very edge of these LEDs. But I think that's what I want. So I'm going to start in the middle, and what we have to do is just simply move everything out of the way. First off, mark where we're starting. So I know I'm going to start right here in the middle. And then mark right here where the bend starts. And then we're just going to make a bunch of little cuts, probably going to about here. So, go ahead. And I'm just going to do this, well, no, we'll do it freehand. So, pretty much just make a cut going from here, just getting through the first layer. We need to score lines through the first layer of the foam board so it can bend around the edge for us. You'll want to make around 10 cuts over approximately 1.5 inches, and that will allow us to shape the foam board around the light base. We'll need to do this for all 3 pieces that we'll be doing, and I'll do the other 2 pieces off camera to save us a little bit of time. While getting the other 2 ready, came across a slight issue. This one here, the bend terminated right there. I didn't really want to have 2 joints together at the termination mark at the bend there, so I'm going to cut both pieces to match up right here. So I'll go ahead and do that here. To glue our strips in place, just start off with making a bead of hot glue on the bottom edge and sticking it in place. Don't worry too much about making a mess, as it can always be cleaned up afterward, and glue drips can be cut off from the outside. As much as I'd love to say, take your time making your glue beads along the edge and not burn yourself, we all know that hot glue only has a few seconds before it starts to set up and isn't sticky anymore. You could also use super glue to do this, which would probably be a bit easier to use. And you obviously don't have to use some huge hot glue gun like the one I'm using here. My Ryobi glue gun is the only one I have, so that's what I'm using. You could definitely get away with using just one of the cheap $3 ones from Walmart. I also definitely burned my thumb a few times with this process here. When you connect the second strip on the board, make sure to put some glue along the edge of the first strip so it has a seal in place between both pieces. And at the end of it all, you can go ahead and put a bead of glue around all inside edges if you'd like to completely seal the 2 pieces together. Or you can take the approach I did later and put a bead of glue all around the outside and shave it down to make the outside look at least a little bit nicer. It's now time for us to go ahead and make the face bezel to go over the light. Start off by placing the body of the light over our second piece of foam board and tracing the shape out. Once the shape is traced out, go ahead and begin cutting it out with your razor blade or X-Acto knife. Once it's all cut out, you'll want to mark lines at 1/2 inch in all the way around the whole piece. Go ahead and carefully cut out the inside piece of foam, and you'll have your outside bezel. Be careful when you're removing the inside piece so as to not bend and break the bezel that you've just made. Alright, now that we've got that cut out, we can see how it looks on top of the piece. So it's not perfect around the edges. I think it actually went this way. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and then what we'll end up doing is gluing this down to here. But first, what we need to do is we need to paint all of this and then add in our diffuser, which what I'm using for my diffuser is cut right wax paper. This works super well. You can use 1 or 2 layers depending on what level of diffusion you want, and that will make it to where it doesn't blind you as much. So we're going to go ahead, start the painting process for all of this, and then we will continue from there. So for the painting, I'm choosing to use just good old Apple Barrel Outdoor Indoor Gloss. It's you can use gloss, you can use matte, you can use whatever color you want. I'm going with black so that way it kind of blends in with everything. There is a cover on it. Yes, there is. Obviously, I just bought this. We're gonna edit this out. Yeah. It's on me already. For the diffuser, we're going to use our wax paper. I recommend starting with just a large sheet of wax paper and cutting it after gluing the bezel down. Go ahead and put a bead of glue all the way around the bezel and stick it down to the wax paper. Apply a bit of pressure while the glue dries, and then we can use our X-Acto knife to cut out around the bezel. When it comes to the diffuser, you can use either 1 piece of wax paper or 2. Going with 2 will give you a bit softer light, though it doesn't seem to be necessary. If you notice that the wax paper didn't fully attach to your bezel, just go ahead and add more glue around the edges where you notice that it's not attached. And there are other things you could use for a diffuser as well, such as thin white cloth or tissue paper. I just went with wax paper since it's what I already had. After the diffuser is fully glued to the bezel, go ahead and add a bead of glue around the actual body of the light so we can glue the bezel down to it. You will have to go pretty quickly with this process because the glue will dry on you if you take too long. I actually had to do this twice because I wasn't fast enough the first time. Once the bezel is glued to the body, you can go around the whole light and add hot glue to any spots that look like they may be missing glue, or that you just want to fill in to make the light look a bit cleaner. So we've got it all put together. We've still got some glue all around the edges here that we have to clean up. Let's see how it looks when it's turned on. It definitely gets extremely bright, but it's not super harsh on your eyes. Like, I can look into it and it doesn't hurt. It did before. But the main thing is, when we turn it on, we can see all along the edge that light is coming out. So what we need to do now is just go ahead and take your paintbrush and go over all the edges to seal it in and put black paint over it until no light comes out. It just creates a cleaner look, and it'll make sure there's no bleed through when you're streaming. So I'm going to do that off camera because it's just simple painting, and then we'll see how it looks when we're Alright, so we've got it all done. It's all painted, it's sealed. We've got the dimmer switch set up, which just plugs in, it comes in the box. Lights up beautifully. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pull it into the office and see how it looks set up. So we can see how it's set up here. Now as for how you actually attach it, I attached just a phone mount to the back of it. That way it could attach right to the back there. But there are multiple ways to patch something like this, depending on what your needs are. So we can see, got the dimming all the way in, or all the way back up. So that's what we've got here. If you guys like the content that I'm putting out, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with new content as it comes out. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.